Hello and welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 341 at scavengerlife.com.
So, welcome back to ourselves.
Welcome back home.
We kind of took a week off last week and we posted that interview we did with
Cindy of Amazing Taste.
That we kind of did a follow-up with her.
People love Cindy.
Yeah, she's really
passionately. It's so funny. Like, I get messages. I've gotten so many emails like,
yeah, I kind of feel bad.
Cindy.
I mean, I guess I hope she doesn't mind. People are like, I want to talk to her.
Yeah.
And have her, like,
well, that's why she's doing consulting, right?
Consult on my business.
Right. That's a great thing.
I'll do some consultation. Keep listening. That's it. We do want to thank everyone that sent us like tips and donations this past couple weeks. I think it was just holiday time. People thought, we were very complimented by that.
The tip jar. Now, the thing is, PayPal is weird when you guys give us a tip. It doesn't show me your email address, so I'm not able to send a thank you note.
Right.
So it's kind of a bummer.
Right. So we read everyone's note, but there's no way for us to respond to you. So we're doing it now. Thank you very much. That money helps us. I mean, we, as scavengers, we're like, that just paid our phone bill. That paid our, our internet bill.
It helps pay for the blog.
Yeah.
The blog costs money to maintain.
And that's nice, too.
Yes.
And we also want to thank people who would send us, they've been sending us socks, because I said how much I love Smartwool socks. All these people started saying,
said, I have a bunch of them. I don't think I can sell them.
I'm wearing some now that
I'm wearing some now, too, actually.
Used socks. We'll gladly take them.
If they're Smartwool, I do not care.
Yeah. These are darn tough socks.
Darn tough.
And some books were sent to me, too, because I said that I collect, like, architectural books.
Like vintage architecture books. Because you're a super nerd.
In furniture. Yeah,
so nerdy. Yes.
Design books, basically, yeah.
Yes.
So thank you for that.
Yes.
So we were in New York the past week.
New York City.
Had a great time.
Yes. We had a great time. You know what's funny? It was freezing there. And we were like, oh, we totally forgot to bring any warm clothes.
Well, it started warmish, in the 50s.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, like everyone's experiencing
like 0 degrees.
Super cold. So thank
so
God
funny.
There are thrift stores.
Yes, the thrift stores saved us.
And we got to hang out. It's with Flim. We hung out with your family.
We interviewed Faith before.
Yep.
And she's a New York City seller.
Yep. So we got to just kind of hang out with her.
To say hi to her. That was great.
So just quickly, because we're a frugal, so we spent $500 while we were there for 10 days. Now, we did have a place to stay for free. So that's huge. I mean, if you can get a place to stay for free, that's always going to be...
That's the biggest cost.
A gigantic percentage of what you're going to pay. So we spent $500 because we ate out 3 times.
Right.
For us, really nice places where we would spend over $100 to eat. Now,
let's preface it with this. Those were times where we went out with other people.
Right.
That was not us being like, let's just have a $100 meal.
Because your sister-in-law is
a chef.
And so she was taking us out
to these amazing places.
And, places that we would have never known about, and we're getting, like, tables of, like, delicious, crazy food.
I mean, like, look.
It was great.
There are times where you're like, this is one of the best experiences you'll ever have, so you're gonna drop 100. Yep. And you know what? 100 is not bad.
Right. And so I only bring this up. There's a reason why I talk about this.
Yes.
I had a point. So as frugal people, when we actually spend that kind of cash, it really feels like a treat, It really feels special because we don't do it very often. And I think that's another good reason for having a frugal,
lifestyle.
Yeah, or a mindset. Because then it just doesn't become like, oh yeah, I'm always throwing down $100 to eat. And then,
like it's whatever, it's no big deal.
It becomes special,
Yeah. So the $500, does that include our thrift store purchases, or is that because we did go shopping for merchandise?
Just $500 on like.
Gotcha.
Just
food,
enjoying
movies.
Life. We took some cabs. We went
Lyft.
to some shows.
Yeah. Yes,
yeah.
we did see some shows.
Saw a magic show, which I always love to do.
Yes, we saw a couple magic shows, not just one.
So that's something else I'm big into. Smart wool socks.
You are the biggest nerd.
Plastic trays that separate the food, where you can pre-pack your food.
Hey, I had one this morning.
Magic shows is something else I really love.
Yes.
Because I really love the, in-person entertainment. I feel like it's kind of a rare thing these days.
Well, it's also rare because we don't live in a city where you can be like, let's go see a performance. It's like there is stuff where we live, but we're just homebodies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then as far as scavenging goes, people were like, oh, we're going to, it's New York too. Where do we scavenge? I mean, basically,
it's
just go online and look at the
just thrift stores.
They're very crazy expensive, but we have found those little cool things.
Yeah.
That's where we found that fabric that one time that I paid $50.
It was like $65,
and we sold it for
$1,800.
So
I mean,
one of those rare.
You find little gems like that.
We did scavenge. We bought some stuff in the thrift stores. We went to some sample sales.
Yes, we went to sample sales,
which is where I guess these companies that make products for the bigger companies,
designers,
they sell their backlog of stuff that they had made as
they're basically samples, right?
Yeah. So I didn't really know what that meant, and so I was trying to explain it.
Right. So it's in basically mostly the Fashion District, which is Midtown. 30th Street area. Yeah, it was cool. I mean, the thing about sample sales too is you're like, this stuff's expensive. It's not like $5. There's not. I mean, you could find those maybe, but we didn't. But we got some high quality stuff that were like, okay, I spent a little bit of money on this, but maybe I can sell
$80 on a purse. Can we sell it for $400?
$400 maybe. I don't know.
And also, then again, we always talk about just scavenging on the streets. We love walking around.
We find stuff. I found a dress.
I found a pair of shoes.
Beautiful
I found
dress.
2 pairs of shoes.
2 pairs of shoes. Yes.
So going on the streets,
people just put a lot of times in New York, people will just put stuff on their little fence stoop thing, in a plastic bag. That's just this is free. Because I don't want to throw it in the trash.
I know it's valuable, but and so they do it, and so they want people to take it. But there's always just bags and bags of black trash bags of trash.
You have no idea what's in there.
It just makes me so crazy because I would love to go through each bag, if there's stuff in there.
Well, look, the other thing,
I'm just not that hardcore.
The other thing too is there was a lot of great furniture and stuff, but we couldn't. We were just we can't do anything with this.
That mid-century table.
Oh my god! Don't even remind me about that. There was this beautiful. I mean, it was mid-century style, teak solid desk.
It was like a West Elm or something.
Yeah, I think it was like West Elm. But one of the legs had been broken off. Super easy to repair.
I had to stop Ryan from grabbing it because I was like, what are we going to do?
How am I going to bring this? I couldn't ship it.
Yeah.
And we were leaving the next day and I couldn't bring it on the train. But I was like,
maybe we could.
Yeah. It's so painful.
That's the other interesting thing about when you walk around it's Manhattan, and I'm sure other towns were built this way too, that there will be areas where you go here and it's all the stores on the street sell fabric.
It's like a district.
Right. Everything here, they're selling wholesale stuff. This whole street sells Japanese food. This whole street
is a commercial kitchen area. There's a whole section.
And that's going away as, it's New York stops becoming that kind of town. But it's so interesting that they do that. I guess part of me is
what's the point?
Why would you just open up next to all your competition? But then I'm I guess probably one place opened, it became popular, and then everyone's just trying to eat off of that traffic.
Well, you're hoping that you have different stuff than the people next door. I mean, it's weird. There are parts of town where you are going through I don't know if it's before the Fashion District. It's in the 20s where it's all generic luggage where you're what is this section of what is this block of generic wheelie carts?
I don't know. It's old school way of doing it.
Super weird.
Okay. People were asking us because we did not mention about our wilderness Santa.
I know we forgot to mention that the guy paid.
So it sold for $900.
Yep.
The guy did pay. I was very positive he would. It took him a while.
It took him 5 days.
Right. He finally did. What was the packing like?
It was a beast.
Did you have to hand make a box?
Yeah, I handmade 2 boxes. One was the initial shell, and then I put 2 long boxes together to hold him.
And so we
was double boxed.
So we hadn't done this before. Peanuts, we kind of just got peanuts as we found them, but we didn't really ever buy them. Yeah. We purposely now bought whatever it was, 100 gallons.
I forget. No, peanuts. It's not even that much. It's like 50, but it takes up so much room.
So that way, we can use peanuts for stuff like that.
Yeah. So the problem about packing peanuts where we live, there's not a single place to buy them in our county.
Right.
So we had to go to the next biggest city over to the UPS store, and we paid like $7 for like a little bag.
But then we went online and bought, I bought like giant, a huge it's taller than a person.
And so I've been using them for when I double box things, and I fill it with the peanuts. So it is solid,
And people were seeing on the its forum, they get free packing from auto shops, and people were telling us where they get their free stuff.
Like auto dealerships.
We actually asked one of the auto guys in town, and he's just they just bring us the parts Like
he orders parts locally, I guess.
So it doesn't come in big boxes, so we need to go back to the source somewhere. And plus we're in a small town. I just don't think anyone does a lot of enough business to have.
Well, what's so funny is he was like, you should ask so-and-so, who's another eBay seller, and they should give you some of their packing supplies. I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. Yeah. But I get it. They're the ones with all the packing supplies.
Okay, before we talk about kind of our specific eBay week, I was thinking about expectations, Ryan.
Oh, really? Great expectations.
So, I read online about people that talk about entrepreneurship and starting business and stuff. Mm-hmm. I think one big problem people have is setting themselves up to fail by having overarching, ambitious goals and achievements. So things like, they're like, I'm going to start this business and I'm going to make $100,000. And I feel like that's why people start to fail too quickly, because it's just that's too big of a thing. And there are the people like, you have to go for the gold and you got to be the best. And if you don't shoot for the moon, you won't go to China.
So we're like mediocre compared to them.
We're just so much different. It's like, you know what? When we first started, we were like, we just need to make $2,000 a month. That's $24,000 a year. It's very, and someone's like, oh, you're a loser. I'm like, you know what? That's what we need to make. Yeah. And it felt really doable.
Right,
I could see that. I could grasp onto that. Okay,
let's...
It means we need to probably a list about 500 items. That's doable. I know where to store it. I can get that inventory.
Yeah.
And then we've just grown from there. We're making much more money now than I ever thought. So I feel like I'm just saying that.
And it's still not even that much compared to some of the people who are you're saying. You know what I mean?
Again, I just, people come on the forum and they're like, I sell $100,000 on Amazon. And it's just
saying a year or a month?
I don't know. I should make a bot that is just because I always ask these things. When you say $100,000, are you saying gross? Are you saying net?
Yeah.
Is that how much did you make in a month? How much do you put in your pocket? Let's get down to brass tacks. Because I just think, especially for a new people, it just gets, I feel like they can set them up for failure even when they're doing well.
Right.
They're like, oh, I'm just making a couple $1,000s a month. I'm a loser. Or, I'm making $300 a week. I'm a failure.
And
I'm
you're like,
what are you talking about?
That's amazing.
That's great money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, there you go.
That's your... So, everybody set the bar low.
That's right.
No, but it is like you're saying. It's like you got to have realistic expectations and just start small. Our first thing was we want to make enough money to buy a Vitamix.
Right. I just imagine there are these hotel places where people pay tickets to go to, and everyone's like dressed up in their church clothes, very uncomfortable, listening to a guy with
like
a PowerPoint
convention thing,
talking about how to become a millionaire. And then we're the people who are across the street in a little diner in the old clothes, and we're just like gabbing with other people talking about just, how to get by.
What'd you do this week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you got?
What you got? That guy.
And all it costs you is a cup of coffee.
That's right.
Okay. One thing this past, I guess it was a week ago.
Couple weeks ago.
Something that made me fall in love with you all over again. I mean, really, it's just like we've been together now for 13 years.
13, we counted it.
And you did this thing where I was just like, this woman.
I love this woman.
I mean, this is why I'm with you.
Oh my God. That's
and what you did was you sealed up some air leaks in our house that was making our house cold.
Cold, very cold. Look, every once in a while, I notice a certain area of our house, this bay window behind us or whatever it's called, that thing was leaking air like crazy a couple years ago. We have this little access door for the firewood.
Yep.
Last year, I was like, I'm standing next to this door and it is like all the hot air is going out that door. So I sealed, because it's directly out to the outside. I sealed that up like crazy last year. And this year, our back door, which is like part of this back deck, whatever, we had the door painted and they like reinstalled the molding because like part of the molding was like rotting away. I don't know how they reinstalled it, but this thing was leaking air like crazy.
Cold air was shooting in.
So I was like obsessively sealing that thing up. Right. And it helped, right?
And it's good because I'm in charge of keeping the house hot with
the fire
that it really helps me because it's more sealed our houses, less wood I gotta burn.
So here's the thing. Part of our house underneath is not insulated.
None of our house underneath is
None of our house right now because he cleaned it out to put more insulation in, and then we never got it insulated. Our main living area has like several layers of flooring, so it's not super cold, but the laundry room is like an ice box. You're like, it's freezing in here because it's got one layer of like, whatever.
But it's going to cost us, how much did he say?
Look, if we got regular like roll in, it's like $1,500 or something, $2,000 to do it. But if we got the spray foam, which he's like, it's the best, it's so good, $6,000. I was like, that's so much money. Like $6,000 to insulate
that's
underneath.
where it's like airtight, so.
But they seal in the pipes and stuff. I'm like, I think the roll-in's going to be okay if we do like R30, super thick, but I don't know. As we've said in past podcasts, insulation is super important, and when you have the opportunity to do it, like, the spray foam's probably going to be amazing, but I don't want to pay $6,000 for it. But this summer, please, let's insulate, because it is freezing in that back room, especially.
We just got to pay the money.
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk about eBay.
eBay.
January 15th. I think it's 15th. People get really mad at me if I'm off by a couple days.
It's like the middle of January.
Approximately January 15th is when we all have to pay quarterly Fed taxes if you're self-employed.
If you're doing that thing.
And, I know it. We just paid it because we like to kind of be on top of these things. I like to just, like, if I have the cash, just, like, do it, Even if it's a couple weeks early, I don't care. And it always feels like a lot of cash, it's like we're spending a lot of money. But then, I mean, I have to remind it's myself and it's you that, this is the money that most people just pay automatically from their paychecks.
Right, like most people don't see it.
We're not paying more than anybody else. We just happen to be paying it all at one time. And doing quarterly is much less painful than doing it all at one time.
Oh,
which
that is
we've done
horrible.
A couple times, especially when in the early days, and I think this it surprises a lot of new business owners, like people who start selling on eBay and they start
that they have to,
and they start to do really well.
Right, that's what happened to us.
I think that they're surprised that they're even a business, you know? Like, people are like, oh, I'm just, like, doing a yard sales, like, no big deal. Right. And then they start to realize, oh, no, in the eyes of the government, this is real. I'm making real money
because
here.
PayPal will send you a, 1099. Like, you get... I think PayPal has started sending a 1099 for any amount. Right. I don't think it even has a limit anymore. Right. So,
I mean, we have a friend who I was talking to him who sells on eBay, and his wife has a business. Yeah. And I mean, I knew this, but I guess they chose not to pay quarterly taxes. And he's like, "Man, I'm going to have a huge hit. You know, it's going to be like, $9,000 or something."
Because he does really well.
Which isn't great, all at one time. But I'm like, that's
how much you pay.
The money, that's how much you would pay if you did it all in pieces or every month. I mean, I guess just this way of paying makes you see how much taxes we all pay, Yeah. And I know it makes people mad, and don't get me started. I'm like the patriotic tax guy, I'm like, I'm paying taxes. I want, I don't have kids. I want your kids to have good education.
Good public schools.
Like, I want you to, because I want your kids, because they're going to be my doctor, and they're going to be doing construction, and I want them to be smart and educated.
For the good of society.
Right. Okay, couple of questions. Oh yeah. Can you control the labels that eBay puts on our items? Like, I noticed under ours.
Yeah, what does it say?
They've got these labels, and they just seem like they're random. Yeah. Ours say
30-day returns and U.S. seller.
I noticed on some others it says long time seller.
Yeah.
Or ships fast, or they have these different things.
Yeah. Okay, I'll give you the answer. You cannot control that. No. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how they pick those.
Right.
Because I have 1 day handling. I'm like, wouldn't I be shipping fast?
Right. Like,
I'm a super long time seller.
I wish I could choose, based on what we offer people, I could choose which ones to highlight.
Now the question is...
Because I feel like I wouldn't highlight some of the ones they give us.
Okay. Here's my question. Does it depend on the item? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
we need to open up, is our furniture is going to be different than our baseball hats?
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so the answer is there's no it's control.
I have no idea how they pick those. I would love to know if anyone knows.
I wish I could. So our storage building is coming along. We're still waiting for the electric to get installed. They came and they did a little bit of it, but
then the holidays happen.
And unfortunately, we have to have everything out of our store. We have a rented storage 10 by 10 today. So we have to finish
the last day of the month.
And so unfortunately, I was hoping we could get all the electric done before we moved all this stuff in, but now we're just going to have to work around all this stuff.
It's no big
deal.
But we won't be paying for storage.
And I think my goal is January is the month we set it all up, because we got all those shelves.
The shelves got delivered from Lowe's. Thank God.
Yep.
So exciting.
So hopefully electric will get done. We'll put the shelves up. We'll put all our stuff in there. I've already taken about half the stuff that was in our home and just over there.
Thank God.
It's just in the middle of the floor.
Oh.
But our house is slowly starting to feel like a house,
I can't wait. I cannot wait to get the electrical done.
Yeah.
Because then it's okay, everybody out. We're going to put, you know what I mean? You're like,
yeah,
let's put the storage shelves up and start putting our bins over there and at least number the bins.
Yep. Yeah.
I can't wait.
It's great. I bought a security camera. It's coming.
I didn't even know that.
I'm going to install it.
I knew you wanted to. It's like $20.
Yep. And it's going to give us an alert on our phones. It's going to be great.
I can't wait. I am so excited. Because it's there's a building back there and we're just waiting to use it.
It's coming. I mean, I think it's like everything. Things always take more time than I think it's going to take, But at the same time,
and it's the holidays.
You do as much as you can every day, and it eventually all gets done.
Exactly. We move most of our storage out. We have 2 more trips in the truck, and then it's done.
So your sister, different topic.
Yes.
She sells very casually on eBay.
On eBay, yes. So she messaged me the other day and said she sold something on eBay December 12th. This was a day ago. And she's like, I never got an email about it. I never got an alert through my phone or anything. So to me, that means her eBay emails are like hidden in her inbox because they definitely email you. But for some reason, her mobile app, like push notifications were not coming through. That had happened to Jay before on his Airbnb app before. And like, it's weird with notifications. You have to go through like the notification settings and then you have to go in the app and also check off the setting boxes. So whatever, I helped her fix that. I had her update the app and it started working. But what I was trying to do was, so I'm texting her on my phone and I'm like, I'll just send you a couple messages through the app and see if it comes through. So I'm sitting there on my phone. I could not see. So I had her listings pulled up because I have her as like a saved seller. I could not see anywhere on the listings to message or contact seller.
Huh.
I was like, I can't see it anywhere. It was a live listing.
Well, even on the web, they don't make
it's super hidden.
They don't make it super obvious how to. I mean, if you know where it is, it's
then you
easy
see
to
it.
See. But it's just like a little tiny
link, and they actually moved it because it used to be down below.
But on the phone, they do allow you to make an offer on something. So that was how you did the test.
No, you know how I did the test? Oh. I just got on my computer. I was like, I'll just get on my computer and send her a couple different things and offer a couple messages. But I was a little bit perplexed. Like, how is anyone messaging us through the app? I can't see it.
I wonder if they just don't want. I don't know. Like,
I mean, that doesn't make any
eBay
sense.
Made a choice. Like, we don't want people just like harassing sellers. I don't know. It's weird.
I mean, somebody's got to help me answer that. I mean, I know I'll have to call eBay in the next couple of weeks, and I'll be like, how do I message someone through the app? Anyway, I thought that was bizarre.
We were with our plumber the other day. He was helping us fix a problem we had at one of our rentals, and he heard our cha-ching, and he's like, a 50-year-old country guy, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, is that offer up?
I was like, so we're down in the basement, and I'm like looking at this little like pressure gauge thing with him for the well, and my phone goes off, cha-ching. And he's like, is that offer up or let go? I was like, what did you just say?
And then he's like, yeah, I sell stuff on
offer up.
On offer up.
And my wife has let go on her phone.
Right. So we started asking him all these
I was like, wait a second.
Because, in our area, we talked about it, Craigslist is kind of just a dead zone.
It's kind of dead.
There's not much.
I mean, people are on it, but I'm like, if there are more people.
Not in a really area. The one is in Washington, which is a couple hours.
DC is, yeah.
That's the active one, but in our area. But it sounds like everyone in our area is now on these offer up or let go or probably Facebook groups. So.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, if this guy's on offer up, then more people are on it than I realized. So I downloaded both of them on my phone, OfferUp and Let Go. It's so funny because I just assumed that everyone who's posting on OfferUp is also posting on Let Go, and it's not. It's actually two totally different
communities.
Yeah, I'm like,
wow.
So weird. So far, so I've listed a bunch of things. I've got a few random messages that are like...
Well, just people are just like...
Is this for sale?
Is this available?
Like,
right, yes.
Because on OfferUp...
Yes, it's available. Yes.
Yeah, well, Craigslist is kind of like that, too.
Yeah.
But what's funny is on OfferUp, if something's sold, you'll see that it says sold. Like, you're like, oh, this must have just sold, like, the other day, because it's still on the front page, but it's marked sold. So I'm kind of like, lady, yes, it's for sale. Buy it from me.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm trying that out.
We're going to see if we can't sell some of our bigger items locally.
But, I mean, the hard thing is like... Is it just like the new Craigslist where it's super spammy and it's like no one's really buying anything? I'm not sure.
People don't want to pay the prices we want.
That's the problem.
Like people are using it like we do, where we're trying to find deals. Like I'm trying to find an IKEA couch,
right?
That would normally cost
$1,000.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. yeah, $1,000, and I'm trying to find it for $250.
Hey, it's happened.
This guy's like, I'll do it as $400 as low as I'll go, which is a great deal. But I'm just like, I can probably get it cheaper. So
if I wait longer, because I
feel like that's
what
Craigslist is. It's like it's more for people. It's like us and people trying to make a bunch of money. So
yeah, we'll see.
Okay, let's talk about our numbers for this week. So we were in New York.
Yes,
we put our store on.
Handling.
It was like 10 days, and then it was 5 days,
and then I went 4, 3, 2, 1.
But we kept selling stuff, so we sold 54 items for about $2,600, which anytime it's over $2,000,
it's amazing.
So talk about expectations. Those are my expectations. $2,000, and I'm over the moon. Anything over that,
and we were away. I mean, that's the thing. Our handling time was. There were a couple slow days. I mean, we were there for Christmas, and you're like, nothing sold on Christmas. Right. Obviously, but
we sold a bunch of stuff on Bonanza. Not a bunch, but more than
I
we
sold
normally do.
5 things on Bonanza. Right. I'll have to add them up, but
that's more than we normally do.
Oh yeah, so it was like 4 things on one store, 1 thing on another.
And then our second store, we sold 10 things for about $350.
Not bad. There was some good stuff.
Finally, in our second store, the Xperia, a mental store, that we've not put anything in that store since it's almost a year now.
A year. It's stuff still
we finally got under 1,000 items.
Which is good because that's what our store pays for. Right. Like there's no extra listing charges.
We had the premium subscription, and you get up to 1,000 items
for a set price, $50
as part of the thing.
Yeah.
And then after that, they charge you extra. There's no subscription above that until you hit anchor, and that's 10,000 items. So it's either 1,000 or 10,000.
Yeah, so it's kind of tough.
Yeah,
it's weird that they do that.
No, it's kind of our autopilot store. All right, things we sold. The reason why we had a great week is we just sold a bunch of stuff for more than we normally do. You know, we like to say $30 is kind of like our bread and butter. That's
bread and butter, yeah.
But we sold 6 items over 100 and 2 items over 200.
Wow.
I mean, that's when, again, that's why I'm like, why can't we just sell gold bars, bars of gold?
That we find in the garbage for free.
But, if... that's all about upping our scavenger game, is finding those items that will sell for more. But I also think, too, during the holidays, people are willing to spend a little bit more, so I hope
it continues, but yeah.
Okay, let's talk about some very specific things we sold, because it's fun to talk about. It's
fun. So I found these vintage Mary Mako, which is a Swedish brand. It's not a person. It's a brand. Placemats. Christmas placemats. And the hilarious thing is, I spotted them right away because we had them when I was a little kid. I was like, oh my God, I had those as I took a picture, sent it to my mom, like, look, oh my God. I put them up really high because they were the only ones on eBay. I put them up for $130 for 4 placemats. And they sold, after Christmas.
Isn't that crazy?
I'm like, okay.
Yeah. But that's where just the its knowledge really comes through.
Because I knew they were from the 80s.
We also sold a vintage hand towel set.
Yes,
hand towels, people.
Hand towels
for $70
now,
and they're used. So when you go to an estate sale, or when someone's trying to empty out a house,
right?
A good place to look is in the bathroom.
Yes,
because that's where they just think it's all junk, and you can buy Q-tips for $1, and we've done that before.
Yeah, we have.
Perfume. Look where they do the towels. If you can find those vintage, colorful, weird patterned towels.
1970s,
yeah,
60s, 70s.
60s, 70s. People buy those because they're really cool. It's hard to find patterned towels these days. And, as long as they don't holes in them and stains, people will pay good. So these aren't the first set that we've sold, but that's something to look for.
I do want to say who bought it, though. It's a fashion designer in New York City, and which was funny because we were in New York City when they sold, she makes clothing out of vintage fabrics. So... Really? Yes, I looked at her website, and a lot of her fabrics are these colorful, vintage, natural fabrics. Yep. So that, I was like, yeah, that makes so much sense. We've sold a bunch before to other random, regular people, too, but It's interesting.
Hey,
people.
Her money's green, like anybody else's.
Anybody else's.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a balm for your wounds. Okay.
A balm.
Balm.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
People complain. Someone's returning this thing. It's so sad. I'm so mad. Okay, fine. So we had a Harris tweed jacket. Someone bought it. They returned it, which stinks.
Yep.
You know what? You list it again for a higher price, and it will sell. This sold. Someone bought a pair of shoes from us over in France. He returned them. It was a real pain in the butt. We sold them originally for how much?
$60.
We listed them again. They sold it within 2 weeks for how much?
$130.
Just now, just like an hour ago. Okay.
Because and you know what? I wanted them back from him in France because I was like, these are nice shoes.
Yeah. Don't cry about it. Just list it again, and they'll sell.
Okay. Can I do one?
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Okay, we got this HVAC system. It was a split system, zone system, whatever. And it came with all these remotes. And for a rental, having remotes is a terrible idea.
Like an AC.
AC remotes. Yeah. You're like, that's going to get lost. So I sold one it was actually $60.
Wow.
I believe it was $60.
There you go.
And then we have 4 of them. We're going to keep one just in case. Right. But, yeah, so...
Yeah, so we're always about that. If we buy something a new item, we will sell the pieces we don't need to help pay for the item.
Yeah, people buy that
TV
stuff.
stands.
Look, I sold 2 TV stands.
Yeah.
I said it before.
Forget about it.
I hope I never need them.
Yep.
Because they're gone.
And this is a good example of things sell that don't have a big audience.
Yes.
You know? So this is a good example of you don't need to be selling things on Amazon that have a lot of, everyone it wants this item. We sold a painting of like a specific neighborhood.
Well, I don't remember this. Can you remember?
It was in Alexandria.
Oh, Alexandria, Virginia. Yeah. Yes.
Yes. It was like amateur.
Yeah,
it was
all
just
watercolor.
So specific of a couple of houses. They're
historical houses.
Yeah, but very specific. If it's basically ephemera.
Yeah.
And this is good, and people who sell ephemera know this already.
They know it, yeah.
You have only a handful of people that would ever be interested in this.
And they live in Alexandria.
But these people have searches out, and they're very rabid about collecting this thing.
Yeah.
So that's why, people can sell postcards for a little tiny house in a small town in Kansas. You're like, who would ever want to buy it? The people that live in that little tiny small town.
They're collecting it.
So it sold for $70.
Well, and what's funny is it's the second. I have a handful of these paintings that we bought at an auction, and it's the second painting to sell to a totally different person, both in Alexandria. So there are people who are like, there's a part of Alexandria that's historical. It's very old. Right. It's Old Town, and so that's. That's a cool sale. Yeah,
and like when we did that interview with the guy that sells postcards, that's his bread and butter. Like he just will list these really specific random things and know that they're going to sell. And and I mentioned it. You've bought postcards
for our
little town
because we like to see like historical photos of Main Street.
Right.
We're like, oh, that was the building that used to be.
So I have a search out, and every so often somebody in like some state far away will have.
Yeah,
basically it's a postcard, but it's a photo.
Yeah.
Of like what our town had looked like a long time ago, and I've paid up $25 for one of these.
Yeah. So we are our target audience.
Yeah. Okay, we sold 2 wood boxes for $300.
Yeah, that's a crazy sale, right? But
burl wood.
Like beautiful, gorgeous. Now, the funny thing about these boxes is I just priced them high. I was like, we sell wood boxes a lot, and these are very nice boxes. Like, I can tell they're handmade. The wood is gorgeous. They're old. So I put them up for $150 each.
It's just a good example of like quality. I think when
tell.
When we talk about vintage and weird items, what I'm also just talking about is like quality. That it's just hard to find these days. If you want to find a brand new made item that has quality, it's going to be really expensive because it means it has to be like handmade and made out of good material.
It's hard to find this stuff. So
it's not throwaway.
So the cool thing is this person bought both of them.
Yep.
For $150 each. So, man, $300 on some wooden boxes.
Enjoy the boxes. We sold a small wool prayer rug.
Prayer rug.
And when people say a prayer rug, they just mean like, yeah, it's like 2 by 3.
2 by 3.
I guess it's like for Islamic, like if you want to like.
That's what I'm assuming. I mean,
pray on this little rug, and the thing is, these things always sell because it's quality.
Oh, it's a handmade wool rug. It's antique. For
and
sure.
People send us messages because we've been talking about we sell wool rugs as much as we can find them, and people will email us like, I found a wool rug, will it sell? And I'm just like, you just gotta look at it. Does it look like quality? There are plenty of sites that talk about how to identify rugs, and you can and look at the back of the rug and see if it's either handmade or
it's pretty easy to tell if it's machine made.
It's just like it's one of those things where you just have to dive in, baby.
Did you even say how much it sold for? $250.
Oh my god.
That sale was yesterday, and we were like, yes.
And the last thing I will mention, we sold a smoking pipe for $70. Like an old man, like I'm smoking a pipe.
Look,
$70.
We sold one last week for $135. You forgot to mention that.
I forgot about that. I didn't even talk about anything we sold a week ago.
I'm just
telling, because that week is gone.
Yeah, our pipes. I say my because I photographed them. We got a lot of pipes.
Okay, real quick. At one point, they were mine because I'm the one that identified them.
You found them.
They were in a plastic
bag. That's why I said our.
That was covered in dirt where you couldn't even look inside of it. I opened up the plastic bag, and there were all these pipes.
They were filthy.
Right, like they had been sitting in a garage for decades. I bought the whole bag for like $10. We brought them home.
We cleaned them.
Wiped them
meticulously.
Off. Oiled them. We identified them. And so we've already sold 2. So we sold one for how much?
$135.
And we sold this one for $70. So we're already up to $200. And we still have 10 of them left.
Look, pipes are tough because you're like, do they have a marking? Does anybody care? What is it made out of?
Are they made out of like a burl?
Most of them are burl wood. It's called like root wood or whatever.
Right, because the root wood doesn't burn very well.
Right, it's fire resistant. Right. This pipe that sold for $70 was it's almost like Bakelite. It's like phenolic resin.
Yummy.
In it, I'm like, do you really want to smoke out of that? I don't know.
420, baby.
Yeah. So anyway, $70. I will take it.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about customer issues.
Yeah.
So, not a big deal, but let's just talk about an issue. A buyer bought a pair of shoes from us. Right. She writes us and says, they don't fit me. So we're fine. We're like, fine. Send them back. She pays to ship them back. We open them up. They're the wrong color.
Yeah, they're totally different.
Same exact shoes, different color.
Same exact shoes.
What's going on?
So honestly, the only issue about this was we were away when they got returned. So I just have to be like, the tracking says they're returned. I'm going to refund her. Fine. And relist them. Right. Like that jacket, that Harris tweed jacket, right. I did the same thing.
Right.
And it sold.
Right. We're not sweating it.
Right. But the problem was, if those shoes, the ones I sent her were white.
Right.
If they had sold to someone and I got home and opened the package, I'm like, these are blue.
And so we got blue ones. So anyway, we wrote her and we were like, why did you send different? And she's like, oh, I bought 2 different pairs. I must have got them mixed.
Them both.
And she's like, hey, what do you want to do? And we were like, we'll just sell them again.
I basically just wanted to tell her so she was aware of the mix-up.
Right.
In case something happened maybe with her other return or something.
I mean, it's just...
It didn't matter. The funny thing was, I did the same thing where I was like, these are actually funny enough in better shape than the ones that I had sold her before. And I like the color better, so I put them up for hire. I just rephotographed them. Right. I was like, I'm just going to put these up.
So, you know what? We turned a lemon...
into lemonade.
Into a cake.
Lemon cake. You don't
I like
lemonade.
Cake better. Okay, things we learned in the forum. We have a forum where people are talking to each other. I enjoy it.
Oh, I'm on the... The forum's very active.
So these are a couple of things I learned. Mm-hmm. If you sell an item with make offer...
Okay.
And if you accept that offer, eBay takes their cut immediately before the person even pays. So if someone buys, says, I'll give you $100, I'm like, yep, sure. And then it's item sold. eBay takes their,
their
whatever.
Final value fee.
Their final value, $10 right away, even before the person pays.
They stick it on your invoice.
Right. It's like it's automatically on the invoice.
Sheesh.
I mean, it's not, because I guess in eBay's mind, it's sold.
It's a transaction.
Your payment is done through PayPal, and that's a different thing. So it's not that really big of a deal, but I guess it just came up because someone was like...
I didn't even see that on the forum.
Yeah, someone was like, I sold something, then they didn't pay, and then...
I looked on my invoice.
Yeah, like, how do I get that taken off?
Well, it should get taken off if you open an unpaid item case and it goes through.
Yeah, but that's just an interesting little tidbit. Something else. Someone came on and said, it was kind of interesting, I'd never heard of this. One buyer bought 2 different items from this person with 2 different IDs.
Right. One was a guest ID, which is, look, if you see one of those IDs with a long string of nonsense numbers and they have like 0 feedback, that's a guest ID.
Right. Because eBay is trying to bring the barrier down to buy.
So people can just buy quickly.
Right.
So the problem was the seller said, well, I noticed it was the same name and the same shipping address. Right. So I just shipped them together.
To be friendly, the problem is eBay would only let her put the tracking number on one of the items and not on the other because you can't have the same tracking number on 2 different items to 2 different... Because in eBay's eyes... Because it's 2 different IDs, it's two different people. So, and then the person, like, disputed the one that didn't have tracking, and she got a negative. And so, yeah, it's a big mess.
Right.
I mean, really, the answer is, and I think this is what we would do. If someone uses 2 different IDs, we ship separately. Like...
And I'll say this has never happened to me.
Right. I mean,
so I'm really glad she shared this because I was like, oh, yeah.
It seems like a real edge case, in the sense of, like, not very common. Like,
that's like...
Anyway, we're just giving you the facts.
So now this was not on the forum. Someone had emailed me directly to ask advice. And she said she got a neutral feedback because she sold a pair of shoes that she bought at Goodwill, but she forgot to take the original price tag off, and the buyer was mad.
Right, and gave her a neutral feedback. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, that's just kind of... We've talked about this, and this has happened to us. It's before in the early days. It's just a live and learn,
It's like when someone writes the price in marker at the bottom of the shoe. It's like... You better get a marker and mark over it. I mean,
ultimately, it doesn't matter because, they're paying you for the time it took to find the thing,
photograph
to bring it home,
ship it.
To ship it to them. So it doesn't matter. But, if like, it probably said like $2 on it and the person probably bought it for $30 and they're like, that's quite a markup. But, we just avoid headache by making sure there's no price on there.
Right. So there's that. And also, like, look, the neutral feedback stinks, but they're grumpy buyers sometimes. That's just what you get.
Yeah.
And neutral feedback should not affect you in any way other than looking kind of crummy on your feedback page.
Yep. Okay. Our coming week, I am looking forward to
listing.
Yep. Just getting into eBay.
I have a pile of stuff where I'm like, oh, I'll do that.
Yeah.
It's like...
It's growing.
What's going on?
It's happening.
Because there's like cool things. I'm like, that's neat. I'll take a picture of that.
Yeah.
So anyway, I have a pile of cool stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about this like we're like, oh, I just want to go back and just list on eBay.
And here we are.
Sometimes it's very it feels very homey.
Got the fire going. Yep. Got our coffee maker. It's like, what else do you want?
Yep.
Got some rental laundry going on.
Yep. What are you going to cook for the week?
Oh,
this is a new part of our podcast. What are you going to cook?
I have been wanting to cook this for a while, and I just haven't done it. It's an Instant Pot recipe for Indian butter chicken. It's like a kind of a spicy, buttery, creamy.
Wow.
Now, the key is to this...
It's going to go in our Instant Pot.
Yeah, it's Instant Pot. It's not Instapot, although I wish it was. The key is to any cream sauce is not to, like, cook the cream and butter with the sauce. You add that after and, like, slowly thicken it. And then you don't cook it because it'll get really thin. Because I've done that before where I, like, throw in all the cream and then you're like, this doesn't seem thick at all. So that's the key is to add it after.
I'm glad we're not lactose intolerant because we eat
so much dairy.
I love dairy.
I know, I do too.
Like when I'm going to cook, I'm going to try this.
What are you doing?
Like a coconut soup. Like when I cook a chicken in the Instapot. I save all that juice, you know?
It's the broth, right? Yeah. It's so good.
I keep it. And then, and when I cook the chicken, there's always like little pieces. So I've shred that so it's ready for me.
Yes.
Take some cabbage and then put some coconut milk in there.
Now let's just be clear here.
It's something I came up on my own.
Whose recipe this is?
I came up on my own. It's like a homemade.
Okay, this is what it is. So it's my made up recipe that I made up in my head. And the point is basically to make ramen without noodles.
Right.
So you make like a chicken broth base with cabbage.
Right.
So the cabbage is kind of like your noodles, and you throw in a bunch of like, you know, like Asian spices, like ginger.
Because the noodles have carbs because it's all the wheat and all that.
I love noodles. I'll eat noodles for every meal if I could, and it's a problem.
Yep.
So it's a very good recipe. I have no idea how to write it down, but it's delicious when it's done right.
I think in our house it's kind of like we just trade it like it's a verbal storytelling.
It's like the oral tradition.
We have an oral tradition in our house, like
of cabbage.
That's
soup.
why when one of us makes some meal, and I'm like, this is the most delicious food, I know we'll never have it again because we can never recreate it. I'm like, this isn't what you made a week ago. Why didn't you make the same thing?
At this point, though, I think I've memorized the chicken soup recipe, but you know what?
Yeah.
Here's the thing: if you try it, you might do it better.
Thank you.
I mean, you do things differently than I do in the kitchen, so
I might.
Okay, enough of all this talk. We have so many voicemails.
Hurry up.
It's like
I know.
Horrible. Okay, you can call us on our voicemail line. The phone number is 540-407-8486.
Hey, Jay and Ryan. My name is Stan Moore. I've called once or twice, but I wanted to send you guys a little Christmas present and didn't know how it would work for you in terms of I could send it via check or by PayPal, but I just wanted to say thank you for your podcast and send you a little Christmas present to put toward your expenses on doing the podcast. I've been working on eBay now for about a year, and you know it's going okay, and I have to say I'm going to give y'all 85% of the credit of everything that I've learned. I wait with bated breath on Monday to hear your new podcast. And so anyway, thank you. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whichever. But I hope you have a great holiday, and wanted to send y'all a small token of my appreciation. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Okay, as we mentioned before, if you want to help pay for the blog, we have a tip jar on our sidebar, and it's through PayPal.
Yeah, so, I mean, and we always say this, totally not a necessary thing.
You don't ever have to pay us.
But if you want to compliment us with a tip, we really appreciate it. Just go to scavengerlife.com, and it's right there.
It's right on the sidebar.
Hey, Jay and Ryan, it's Stan. I hope you're having a great trip. But I was listening to your last podcast and wanted to make a couple of points about feedback and what I had found. Recently had sold a used baseball hat to a gentleman, and he, wrote me back and said that it came crumpled. I guess he was talking about the crown. And so I had apologized, sent him an email back through eBay, and, you know, what can I do for you? Tell me a little bit more about the problem. Asked him to send me a picture. He did. it didn't look crumpled. And so I called eBay and said, what should I do? They gave me some instructions. I followed the instructions and offered for him to return it. I apologized again, and that was it. Very professional. He asked a question about paying for the return shipping. I said, well, sir, I'd have to see the item because, quite frankly, it doesn't look damaged. So, short story long, I get it up to eBay. He left me negative comment and, really nasty negative comment. Got up to a supervisor in the seller part of the world, and they said, it was just his opinion. I had asked the gentleman to open up a return case. Another point was, the eBay people told me, is that, of course, you're not required to open a case up to return an item. And I didn't understand that, but I thought that was normal procedure. This is the first one for me. So that's where I am right now. They could not do it because he didn't open a case up, but he's not required to open a case up. And then the last thing, evidently there's some sort of a group or a committee or something within eBay that can review it and possibly take it back. But they do not contact the seller. They do not contact the buyer. They just sort of do it. And the only way for you to know it is that you just watch your feedback each day. But, I look at it as like lesson learned, but it was not terrible. I still love eBay. I hope y'all have a great trip up to New York and waiting for your next podcast. Thanks.
That is very bizarre. I thought that people did have to open a return case to officially return something. I didn't. People, you can message back and forth. Just send it back. I'll refund you. That can happen, but I didn't realize.
Wait, but if they don't open up an official return, then eBay doesn't know that it's coming, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah. That's weird.
But, I think that's just, this specific case, I agree. You kind of just write it up to experience, cost of doing business, just get out of it. Sometimes it is just opinion and eBay will not back you up on it. And like we've always said, we always seem to have at least one as negative because they go away after 12 months. But we seem to always get one sometime. And it doesn't hurt our...
It's not a big deal. It does suck. Yeah. You're like...
I like being an A+ student too, but sometimes it just doesn't work. But this goes back to a different conversation we seem to always have, and that is, you have a problem, you call eBay, and some rep will tell you something that you've never heard. They're like, oh, don't worry about it, we'll do this. And my thing is, if someone's telling you something that's not written down in their rules, right, you can't believe them. I'm not saying they're lying to you, but I just don't think they understand their own rules. Because if they tell you something that's not on their website, then when it doesn't happen, don't be shocked by that. You know. So that's why we all have to know the rules better than the eBay people. Follow those. Its rules, and then make the eBay people follow their own rules. Yeah. So that's the way we do it.
I feel bad for you. That stinks, but it's one of those things where you're just like, and also like, how much did this guy pay for this hat? $20? You're like, ugh, it's not even worth the time. At some point, you're like, okay, moving on.
Hi guys, my name is Art from Los Angeles. And love your show. Learning a lot. I wanted to tell you something that I found out today. eBay's come up with another plan. I'm sure they released it in the 100-page documents that they release on occasion. But I want the listeners to know that if you ship globally and not through the global shipping program, but just globally, eBay has now taken out most countries, or I should say, they have taken out the USA and territories from the global of your seller dashboard. So most people who sell just occasionally on Global, like maybe 30 or 40 items, they will no longer get top-rated status. They will be downgraded to downgraded from top-rated to above standard, I think it is. So that'll knock most of us who just sell on occasion out of any benefits from top-rated for Global. And also, it'll probably make our search a little bit more challenging. So I just wanted the viewers to know that has just happened within the last couple of months, and a lot of people are getting notifications on their seller dashboard for the Global portion of their seller dashboard. All right? Just wanted people to know. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, yes. So there are certain sections on your seller dashboard that show you your top-rated status for the U.S., versus top-rated status globally. I barely ever look at that. I think I've looked at it once. I also sell on global shipping programs, so I don't know how that'll affect us in the global shipping program. Sounds like it won't.
Yeah, I haven't looked at that in a while, but yeah, they had like your status for the world, and then for like Germany
UK.
And for UK, and it's just like, I don't care. Like, I'm more interested in what does it say about America.
Yeah.
And even like other people say, it's becoming less and less interesting since they now don't do 20% discount on fees. It's 10% discount on fees. Like, it's becoming like, does a buyer really care? Like, how many buyers actually say, I only want to buy from top rated? I don't know.
Yeah. So that's good to know, though.
Hi, Jay and Ryan. I just wanted to comment on what you were talking about a couple weeks ago with items disappearing out of inventory. I did have a weird thing come up. A buyer messaged me saying they were trying to buy my item, but the transaction failed, and then it was no longer available. And I never received any notification or anything from eBay about there being a sale. I did see a PayPal transaction from them that was reversed. I got a payment, and it was immediately reversed. And then the listing did end. So if that buyer had never messaged me, I never would have known that listing ended. It was some kind of eBay glitch. So it can happen, and I can see someone has a large inventory over time. If glitches like that come up here and there, then they could have items in stock that are not listed on eBay and have no idea why that would happen. So just wanted to let you know that can happen. Thanks. Love the show. Bye.
That's horrible. Stuff can just end randomly and you never know about it, and it's purchasable on eBay. That's so weird.
Yeah.
That's odd.
Yeah. I can't, I don't know how to, that's just kind of a nightmare thing. Like, are there items in our inventory that aren't actually on eBay? Are there items on eBay that for some reason someone can't buy? It's like, I don't know how you check for that stuff, except
going one item at a time.
Yeah, doing I guess inventory. Like businesses do, they do like a yearly inventory where they check every single item.
Look, I'm still debating whether we should do an inventory when we go into the warehouse in our backyard. I'm like, do I really want to?
I think it all depends on. The only reason why we do that is that if we want someone else to ship for us. Like, we have no problem finding stuff, but it's kind of it's an oral tradition in our house.
Passed down.
Yeah, through the generations. Yeah. We would have to actually have like a real inventory if we wanted our help.
I don't think it would hurt. It would help us find stuff much faster, but
I think for me, again, baby steps. Let's first just get the building with electricity.
Yeah.
Let's get the shelves in there, and let's just get everything in there the best we can, and then we can, take it to the next level.
Right.
Hello, this is Milena of Fancy Antiques in Wilbraham, Massachusetts. I'm new to your podcast, and I really appreciate all of your information about eBay. I sell quite a bit on eBay myself, and I'm trying to get into artwork. And I wondered if you have any advice for me. I've listened to your podcast on the information, and most of my auctions are auctions on eBay, and I don't do much by it now. So anyway, I really appreciate all your information, and I'll continue to listen, and you're doing a fantastic job. And I don't know if it's appropriate for me to ask or not, because I'm new, but I would love to know what your eBay store is. Mine is Discount Couture. So thank you very much, and have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.
Okay, so, yeah, selling art, I guess it's just like selling anything. Just, For us, we're all buy it now because things just take a while, especially art. If you don't have art that is signed by like a famous person, how's someone going to find it? A lot of art we sell is just like, cool, a mid-century, colorful shapes, it's like, it doesn't have those keywords that people are searching for. It's more like we're catching the people who are just searching through all the different art just to see if they can find something cool to put on their wall. Yeah. So it just takes time. So it might take a year, Right. If you're just doing auction, I don't know. It's like you're hoping you're going to find that one random person in a 7-day period.
And as far as our eBay stores, you can email us directly and we will give you our store.
Yep, we're always happy to share a store.
thescavengerlife@gmail.com.
Hey, this is Adam, aka Retro Treasures WV on the forum. I was just calling in because I'm trying to unwind and de-stress from just handling the case on eBay. So if you're calling in, just share how it went down. Got a return to sender item today, unexpectedly. I'm still not sure what happened, if the buyer actually refused it or if the post office just messed up with one of their contract carriers that they use during the holidays. Anyways, I got the item back. The buyer contacted me, asked me when I was going to reship it. So I knew this was not going to end well. Of course, I told the customer that they either have to pay shipping again or I can refund them minus the original shipping. They opened a case in which eBay was trying to force me to give them a full refund. The buyer also sent me a nice little nasty message basically saying, haha, give me all my money back or eBay's going to suspend you. I've heard everybody going through these cases and how it goes. So I knew exactly what was going to happen, but it still didn't stop me from getting royally upset. Called eBay. Of course, they ruled in my favor. So, oh yeah, you didn't do anything wrong. We're not going to give the buyer a refund at all now. And I balked at that, saying, whoa, hey, you can give them a refund of the original purchase price, just not the shipping, because I did everything right. It got returned to sender. I don't know if they did it or what. It got returned to me for some unknown reason. They said, nope, they get nothing back, but they'll appeal. They can appeal. And I said, so I need to call back after they appeal? And the customer service rep played dumb, like they didn't know how this worked. They didn't know what would happen. I also asked if they could give me in writing, either through eBay messages or emails, summarizing our call. And of course, they played around that, didn't outright refuse, but said, oh, the next person you talk to will get that for you. And of course, that never happens. So the case is closed in my favor. About 10 minutes later, probably after the buyer went through their own stressful call, it got reversed back to the buyer and they gave them a full refund. So I called in again and of course, got the same rigmarole, got transferred to the appeals department. I laid out my case. They put me on hold for a minute, come back, said, good news. We've changed our mind again and we're going to give you a full refund. Again, I asked for a summary email discussing our call. Of course, I was told the next person would give that to me. Never happened, as usual. But hey, I got all my money and I have the item and I can resell it again. But man, just dealing with this case just makes me think that eBay's days are numbered if they can't resolve this crappy resolution system, because competitors are going to come along and do a better job of it.
Okay, you hit the 3-minute limit, Adam.
Yeah. Ding, 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 ding. Yeah. So, look, we all have these kind of cases where, if the buyer's motivated, if you're motivated, eBay has a system where it kind of goes back and forth. And the way it kind of works is whoever wins is the one that can kind of stick it out the most.
Right.
And if the buyer's willing to stick it out to the very end, ultimately eBay often just picks them because the buyer is the most important thing on the platform, whether you agree or not.
In this case, that didn't happen.
However, what eBay will often do is that if the buyer and you both stick it out, eBay will often just say everyone will be made whole, and it seems like eBay eats it. I think that's happened to us several times.
That's happened to us a couple times.
Like where they're just like, everyone's kind of right. So everyone gets their, cash in. And I guess eBay has like a slush fund to make everyone happy.
And look, I'm going to say this. Like, I know you're like, eBay's days are numbered. It's like, anyone who sells on Amazon knows that none of this would happen on Amazon.
I mean, I think what's going to happen is eBay will just one day they'll just be like, let's stop this.
Right.
We're just going to become like Amazon, where the buyer is always right. The buyer can return it for any reason at all.
Full refund.
You have no recourse, and you just have to eat it. And I really hope that never happens.
I hope not. The fact that you were able to get on the phone, it's a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
It's your whole afternoon. It's totally a pain. I've been there. But then you resolved it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I don't know what else to say. This is how it is, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Jay and Ryan, fellow Scavengers. This is Brian. So I thought I'd pass along a little tip. I took a package to the post office today. It actually wasn't even an eBay-related package. We were just returning a Christmas gift that my daughter gave to my daughter. It was wrong size. So we were sending it back, and I had boxed it up. And I was there at the counter, and the woman at the post office told me the box I happened to package it in had the words hard cider on the side. And she told me I couldn't send that like that. So she gave me a marker. We just blacked it out. But kind of a tip I thought I'd pass along. Make sure a lot of us reuse boxes from other stuff. But you can't send everything through the post office. I wish Congress would change that rule and allow the post office to ship alcohol. It'd probably help them make some money, but you might want to think about that when you use pre-used boxes. Thanks.
Yes, so if you're getting pre-used boxes, like great size boxes come from the liquor store. Absolutely. Like, they're a wonderful size box for, a wine box, whatever. They're great. You have to mark those out. You cannot ship anything that says alcohol.
But it's only a liquor box, right? Any other kind of box can say chips and chicken.
Yeah,
and it doesn't matter.
If you get stuff from the deli counter at Walmart, and it's like...
It's just that it's illegal to ship alcohol
through the post office.
If it says a liquor on the side, they're going to assume there's a
right,
liquor
they
inside
assume that's what's in there. So... the thing about shipping alcohol, and the problem is there's such different rules for every state for how alcohol is regulated that the post office just isn't even going to get into it. I used to work at a vineyard, and they would ship alcohol. You could only ship their alcohol to certain states, and you could only do it through, it was either UPS or FedEx. And you could only do it a certain way, and you had to label it, extensively. So I guess the post office just hasn't really gotten into that. But, yeah, that's good advice. Thank you. Okay, that is it for the podcast this week. You can check out our blog at scavengerlife.com for the links we discuss and to join the conversation on the forum. You can call and leave a question or a comment on our voicemail line. The phone number is 540-407-8486. We post an episode every Monday morning. On Wednesday, we post a What Sells video. Currently brought to you by Steven Schultz. You can subscribe to us through iTunes or YouTube so you always get the latest episode. And you can rent our vacation rentals. I have the links to those on the sidebar if you're interested in coming and getting very cozy in the mountains. Okay, we're ending this podcast in 3, 2, 1.